I can't see myself doing anything else. Like before it was filmmaking, but after I found music and found what kind of drive it gave me and how excited I was, like waking up every day just knowing that I can, work on a new song or get on a new stage was just like what gave me the fire to like live and travel the world like with no plan at all, just knowing I have music and I can perform, you know. I guess it was a big risk going to Canada early on and not knowing where the music is gonna go, but it was worth it for me because I knew I would have to pursue it, otherwise I would regret it my entire life. My name is Wiz, no, my name is Sanila, but I go by the name of WizTheMC. So when I was 12 or 13 years old, I got an iPod Touch from my parents, and I registered on all like social platforms under the alias WizTheMC. And at that time, I didn't know like Wiz Khalifa or what an MC was. So I just stuck with that name when I like was making photos, videos, and eventually music, cause like the name just came out of nowhere. So like I just went with the magic of it. And then we just spent the entire summer smoking weed and recording freestyles in my room. And after that, I just kept writing and making music and just fell in love with it. I was shooting music videos for a German rapper at that time, and he put me onto kidding. So basically, because I used to shoot music videos, I got introduced to rap. And like I remember shooting his first music video and thinking like dancing to your own music is like the dopest thing ever. But like at that time I didn't have any music. And then over time I feel like that thought just manifested itself that I made music. Because you hear all this stuff and it's like sounds so cool, and like like when you start rapping, for me it was like I want to impersonate that persona. I want to be like the dopest person on earth. So like, and then like it's funny because like through that I like really liked my music, or I liked that persona, and that way I kept going although the music was trash. And then I stumbled across people like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, and they really inspired me to like write down my feelings and what's inside of me. I wrote my first song in December 2014. In 2015 I started freestyling just like for fun, and then 2016 I launched my Facebook page, and then 2016, 2017, 2018 I uploaded songs and music videos, and they got like almost like a little to no traction, like just from my friends and maybe their friends sharing them, like maybe around 100, 200 views or streams, so like I guess over 3 years I've been uploading music with no traction. When you pursue something and it doesn't work in the beginning, like you keep going to prove it to the world or prove it to yourself. It's like, like, oh, you didn't like me or you underestimated me, like I'm gonna prove to everyone that I can do it. So there was like that chip on my shoulder that I felt like, I was rapping in English and I was in Germany, and at that time that wasn't seen as something like positive or cool or even respected, So like I just knew that I'm gonna reach people overseas with my music, but people in Germany didn't believe that. So I just like was waiting for the moment for me to deliver the music overseas,
Die Gewinner kriegen auch Musikvideos und wir haben gerade was gedreht für das Lied Mission. Also danke an Jägermeister und danke an Splash und danke an alle Supporter.
Like maybe half a year before I graduated from high school, like I had money saved up to go anywhere, basically just leave Germany, because I knew I was gonna make music. I didn't know to which extent, so I just wanted to escape the question from everyone, like, what are you gonna do after school? Are you gonna study? Because that's what people ask, right? So like I booked the flight for 3 days after high school graduation, and basically it was Toronto because it was the cheapest flight I could find, and I didn't know much about Toronto or Canada in general. I thought it was just a bunch of trees and a huge, continent, I guess country, because North America is a continent. But so I had 4 nights in a hostel, and then And then the 3rd of August, he came in and said I would have to leave the next morning because the Airbnb host wanted the apartment back.
So the only contact I had was Reg, so I emailed him back, could I crash at your place? He's like, yeah, sure. So I moved in and haven't moved out to this day.
Was like a 70-year-old guy I met the day before who had invited me to like live at his place, but because I'm like, you know, wary and a cautious human being, I was like, yo, I'm good, I got a place to stay. But in that moment I like then wrote him an email because he gave me a flyer of his movies he's playing at his home, and I wrote him email, was like, I got kicked out of my apartment, can I crash at yours? And he just like replied with like one line, like, sure. And so the next day I got all my stuff to his place and moved in and lived 5 months with him, and he like ended up being my mentor and taught me how to be an artist, how to profit as an artist, how to promote yourself. And that's how I got into postering and put my face all over the city, like on those wooden poles, and yeah, played shows at his home for a while. He rented out this little room for me, and I was making music out of that room for that time being. I made new songs, and downstairs I performed, and like it was even for crowds of like 3 people or 2 people, I charged like $20 because he told me to like put your price high, you know, for people to respect your art. And so sometimes I play for 2 people, for 1 person, for 3, and like the biggest crowd there was like maybe 9 or 10 people, you know. So it was like really grinding and like showing up. The one song I showed you, you know, it's like very new for me, and I want to dive into that where I incorporate rap still, you know. So but no, it was really empowering, like freestyle in front of you guys, and like getting better over the 3 songs, you know, like this was like
warm-ups.
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening. No,
it was great.
Thank you for giving us. And then I got the room, I found a job at Second Cup as a barista, and then I ended up working there for 9 months part-time and making music on the side and playing as many shows as I could get and going to open mics. And also promoting my music through Second Cup. Like sometimes, you know, my manager wasn't looking, handing out my business cards. It's like, oh, you like music? You know, it's like, here, listen, you know. And I even had one moment where a freaking guy, that was crazy shit. Cause like at that time I only had like a few hundred people maybe listening online, and like this one guy like ran into the coffee shop, was like, are you WizTheMC? And I was like working as a barista there, you know. It's like, yeah. It's like, yo, your music's so sick, I saw you, you know, like with my hair. And that was like so sick, like while I was working there. So that was an interesting moment, and it was like, oh yeah, I guess people pay attention a little bit, you know. I guess it was, my first big song was One More Night, which I collaborated on with Wolfskin and Bayou from Germany. So I started working on it end of 2018, I think. I wrote it in October, and we only released it in April also, because they work with labels, and they do it more professionally and like hand it in like months before and do the whole promo thing. So that was like my first big record, which I also knew would gonna get more exposure because Wolfskin and Bayou have their own fan base and their own reach, and so that song hit like 100K streams in like 2 months, which was huge for me because I didn't have anything close to that.
Richtiger Winkel. Ja, ich wollte nur einmal kurz Hallo sagen für die Doku, und ich rufe dich so in 15, 20 Minuten an. Ist das cool? Oder fick ich deine Zeit?
Eyes on me over the course of 2018, I released like 60 songs over the year, and most of it still came from this summer when I was playing the Splash Festival, where I won a contest to get in and play a show there. And being there definitely gave me a bunch of exposure and new people discovering me. And it's funny because 3 years prior to this year's festival, or like this yearly event, I was on that festival and I was like freestyling for beer. Like I realized it was my first festival ever, like 3 years ago, and so like I didn't have enough money to like buy myself beer. So like I went around like from camp to camp and like telling people like, okay, I'm gonna freestyle for you. You can pick the beat, and like if you dig it, I get a beer. If not, I keep going. And like I got all my homies drunk, and like we just like went from camp to camp because everyone brings a bunch of beer, you know, if you're prepared, you know. So I capitalized on my freestyling skills. So I guess the first songs that caught traction were Upset, because that was the song that initially got me into the festival. Like I used Upset was the video I used to get voted into the festival, which led me eventually to playing that song on stage at the festival. So people were like waiting for that song to come out, and then I released it, I believe, just before the festival, and that song like had like the first traction, or got the first traction, and after that the other songs also got like tens of thousands of streams, and like initially it made me happy, but also like it then made me slowly think about like how the numbers should affect me or what it should do with me. And it's like, you know, like the more attention I get, like the more I'm practicing like groundedness and like, you know, meditating in the morning and like checking my phone only after like 2 hours of being awake, and not like falling into temptation and thinking like, oh, you know, I gotta see the DMs, I gotta see what, you know, like if the fans like this, you know, because like I guess they are fans, but like I'm still me, and I still gotta be a good person, a good, you know, partner to my girlfriend, a good like child to my parents, and like that's first and foremost the most important thing to me, you know, be a good human being, you know. And this is where all the magic happens. Not all the magic, but let's go to the music. A definitely positive thing about like getting playlists and getting exposure is meeting great artists and creatives like Jaxin, who is doing this entire documentary thing and also shot on my Mind music video and directed it. And you know, like I get to meet dope people because of exposure.
I like that.
I would tell myself to be authentic and be yourself, because everyone already tries to be someone else but themselves. So if you're gonna be yourself, you automatically or accidentally gonna stand out.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, I guess we gotta find out.
Wish you the best that you reach the goals you set. I'm gon' leave, 'cause I'm upset, but you need to keep your head out, 'cause